Hello, welcome to another video for Wise Guys in the continuing series on the BA2 Plus calculator compound interest. This one we're going to look at the amortization function of the calculator. Now, when we go to use the amortization function, one of two things will be missing. It'll either be the size of the payment or how many payments we have to make. When we read through the question, we'll look to see if the years are given. If the years are given, then we'll compute the size of the payment, but if the years are not given, then we're going to have to compute n and the number of payments before we can use the amortization function. So we have to use our light gray row of buttons here first. Let's just see what's missing from the question. So you have taken out a loan from the bank for $20,000 and you're going to be repaying it by making payments of $500 per month with a final smaller payment due at the end. The interest rate on this loan is 6.9% compounded quarterly. What is the interest component of the 15th payment? So if we go back to the top, the first thing it talks about is a loan of $20,000, so that's going to be our present value. And then it says you're going to be repaying it by making payments of $500 per month. So this is our PMT with a final smaller payment due at the end. The interest rate on this loan is 6.9%, so this is our IY, compounded quarterly for what is the interest component of the 15th payment? So before we can get to the interest component of payment number 15, first thing we have to do is find n, because there's no time given anywhere in the question. So then PV, the 20,000, is our PV. That was the first thing given to us. Then we're going to be repaying it by payments of $500. So there's going to be no future value. At the end of the loan, there should be nothing left to owe. The interest rate is 6.9, compounded quarterly. And the payments, oops, we missed that. The payments are actually per month. So PY has to be 12. So PY and CY are different. The other thing we have to remember is because we're solving for the n, one of the PB and the payment has to be a negative. I'm going to make the payment a negative because that means that's money going out of our account. Okay, so let's punch the numbers into our calculator. So we're going to start with, we've got 6.9 IY, 20,000, oops, I put in too many zeros, so I'm just going to use my back arrow to back up one, PV, and then 500, and then we hit the plus minus button to make this a negative payment, 0 future value, and then PY and CY, these are hidden under second function IY, so second IY. PY is 12. Now my calculator already says 12 from a previous question, so I'm going to leave that as 12 and push the down arrow to go to CY. CY is also 12, but we need to change it down to 4, so then I'm going to go 4, enter, and then second quit, which is the CPT button, and then compute n. So compute n. All right, so we didn't get a perfect n. We got 45.547, basically 45.55. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to round this up to 46, and you need to actually do that in your calculator. So we actually need to go 46n. Now we'll use the amortization function because remember they wanted the 15th payment. So now we're going to go second PV because that's AMORT. So second PV. And so what I'm going to do is we're going to set P1 to 15 and then you push the enter and down arrow button. So 15, enter, down arrow, and then P2 we're also going to set to 15, and then again we push the enter down arrow button. BAL stands for the remaining principal balance on the loan. But this question wants the interest component, so we're going to push the down arrow again. PRN, this stands for the principal portion of that P1 and P2. So this would, since P1 and P2 are 15, this would be the principal payment towards the loan in payment number 15. So then we want the interest, so we're going to push the down arrow again. And so here's our interest. Now, don't worry that it came up negative. Just take the answer as $82.30. And so then the answer, that is our interest portion for payment number 15. Okay. Let's continue and try something else. The next question says, what is the principal portion of the fifth payment? So now we want the principal of the fifth payment. So now, if you push the down arrow one more time, that brings you back to P1. So now what we're going to do is we're going to type in 5 here, enter down. And then for P2, we're also going to type in 5, enter. And then we're going to push the down arrow twice, because remember, this is the balance after the fifth payment. So this is how much is still remaining of the debt, but we want the principal portion. So the principal portion is $394.55. Okay, let's try something else. This one wants to know, what is the total interest paid in the third year? So now, when you do a question where they want in years, what I do is I set up this little table where I have a column for years, a column for P1, and a column for P2. So in this case, P1 will be the payment that begins the year. And P2 will be the payment that ends the year. So now, in year 1, well, P1 would start at number 1. The very first payment would be payment number 1. If we bring back the question that we began with, our PY we set to 12. So that means we are going to make 12 payments in 1 year. So then we're going to go along and make payments 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So then P2 is actually going to be the payment that ends the first year. They want the third year, so let's go on to year 2. So year 2, so since payment number 12 ends the first year, payment 13 would start the next year. So then we'd go along and make 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and finally number 24. So we would make payments 13 to 24. And then the third year, well, since 24 ended year 2, 25 would begin the third year, and then we'd make payments 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and finally payment 36. So in our question, P1 is going to be 25 and P2 is going to be 36. Okay, so we'll push the down arrow twice to get back to the P1. And at this point, we'll type in 25, enter, down arrow. And then at P2, we'll type in 36, enter. And then they want the interest. So then we'll push the down arrow once for balance, second time for principal, and finally the third time for the interest. So in year 3, we paid $523, and since the third decimal here is it's 497, the third decimal is a 7, that'll round the 9 up to a 0, which will round the 4 up to a 5. So we're looking at $523.50. Okay, one last thing I have to show you. Last thing we need to look at is calculating the size of the final payment. Now, when we computed the n in the very start of the question, and let's just bring that back, we computed it to be 45.54. So that means we've made 45 full payments and 0.54 of a smaller final payment. So there's two steps to finding the size of the final payment. First thing we want to do is we want to find the remaining balance after the last full payment. So then, we'll just bring that back one more time. So then, the 45th payment is our last full payment. So then what we want to do first is we want to start with P1 45, P2 45, and just going to the BAL, the balance. So we'll push the down arrow once to get back to the P1. We'll go 45, enter, down, and then 45, enter, down. So then here's the remaining principal balance, $272, and it goes 549, so the 9 again rounds the 4 up to 5, so then 55 cents. So this is the remaining principal balance for the final payment. So now, step 2 is to find the interest for the last payment. So to do that, P1 and P2 will be 46 each, and then we'll scroll to the INT. Okay, so then let's just push the up arrow this time to go to P1. So then 46, enter, down, 46, enter, down, and then we'll scroll down 3 times to the INT, and it's $1, let's see, we got 558, so the 8 would round the 5 up to a 6, so we're looking at $1.56. So now that we have the principal portion, $272.55, and the interest portion of $1.56, the final step is to add the balance and the principal, or the balance and the interest together. So then we're going to take $272.55 plus $1.56. Now be careful, we can't really do it right on the screen here because it's kind of got a negative sign, so let's just clear out of that, and then we'll go to just start fresh. 272.55 plus $1.56 gives us $274.11, and this is the size of our final payment. All right, so those are all the things you can do with the amortization function of your calculator. If you have any questions, you can get a hold of us at rrc.mb.ca/LAC. Thank you, and have yourself a great day.